Welcome, dearly chosen one. Have you ever walked into a room and felt every eye on you? Or felt like you were the main character in a movie no one else was invited to watch? Have you ever wondered why you're the constant subject of gossip? Why your name is whispered in every corner and why people just can't seem to stop talking about you? I'm not talking about when you've done something crazy. I'm talking about when you've done absolutely nothing. I remember a time not too long ago when I was at a family gathering. Everything was fine, people were laughing, and the food was amazing. Then my cousin, a fellow chosen one, came up to me. He leans in, gives me this look like he's about to reveal the secret to the universe, and says, "Man, you know everyone is talking about you, right?" I just looked at him, chewed my chicken wing, and said, "Are they talking about my impeccable fashion sense or my questionable taste in music?" He didn't laugh. He got serious and said, "No, for real. They're just curious. They don't get you." And that was the moment it clicked for me. It wasn't about what I was doing or what I was wearing. It was about something deeper. It was about an energy, a vibration, a light they couldn't ignore even if they wanted to. And here's the bold truth, my fellow chosen ones. People talk about you because you are a walking, breathing billboard of a life they either crave or secretly fear. You're not just living, you're an entire spiritual awakening in progress, and that, my friends, is a big deal. You are the subject of every conversation because you are a divine inconvenience to mediocrity. You're a billboard for a spiritual fire that they don't have, and they don't know how to handle it. You are the mirror they secretly fear looking into. So why are you so intriguing? Why does your presence disrupt the status quo? Why does your name become the hot topic the moment you leave the room? It's not because you're a drama magnet, it's because you are a divine magnet. And trust me, once you understand the 7 core reasons behind this, you won't just be a topic of conversation, you'll be a force of nature. My spirit warriors, this video is your armor, your shield, and your sword. We're not just going to talk about why they're talking, we're going to use it as fuel for our spiritual fire. If you've ever felt isolated, misunderstood, or just plain tired of being the center of attention for all the wrong reasons, then this video is for you. Watch until the very end and let's turn their gossip into your spiritual power. This isn't about bragging rights, this is about understanding your divine purpose. It's time to stop shrinking and start shining. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Point 1, your light is a divine inconvenience. Think of it this way, most people are living in a dimly lit room and they've made peace with the shadows. The outlines of their life are predictable, the same well-worn paths to the fridge of excuses, the armchair of old habits, and the dusty bookshelf of unfulfilled dreams. The darkness has become their ally because in the dark, they don't have to face what's really there. No need to acknowledge the cracks in the walls of their self-worth, the cobwebs in the corners of their neglected potential, or the dust gathering on the promises they made to themselves years ago. But you, spirit warrior, are cut from different cloth. You don't tiptoe into rooms like that. You burst in and flip the switch. And when the light comes on, it's not the soft, cozy glow of a scented candle, it's a full-on industrial strength floodlight. Every hidden flaw, every quiet compromise, and every secret corner is suddenly visible. And that's when the discomfort starts. Because once the truth is illuminated, it can't be unseen. Your presence is less like a guest and more like a wake-up call. And wake-up calls rarely feel gentle. Most would rather roll over, pull the covers up, and drift back into the comfortable illusion that everything is fine. But here's the thing, they're not resisting you, they're resisting the reflection you hold up. You've become a walking, breathing mirror that shows them who they really are versus who they pretend to be. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the mental tension that comes from holding on to beliefs that are challenged by undeniable truth. You, spirit warrior, are that undeniable truth. And the gossip, the side eyes, the subtle shade, that's just noise from people scrambling to protect their version of reality. You're the reminder they didn't ask for but can't ignore. You've been through enough battles to know that wounds, when faced with courage, don't just heal, they transform. As Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. You've turned betrayal into wisdom, loss into compassion, and rejection into resilience. Every scar you carry is a window for your light to shine through, and light, once released, travels far. Here's why you shake the foundations of their comfort zones. Your authenticity is lived, not performed. You don't recite mantras you haven't earned. You've bled for your truths. You are the embodiment of survival, growth, and awakening. And that presence alone calls people's spirits to attention. Your very existence whispers to their soul, there is more than this, even as their ego shouts, don't move. But understand, your role was never to blend in. Light doesn't apologize for being bright. Awakening is rarely polite. It's messy. It's jarring. Sometimes it's met with tears, sometimes with anger, and sometimes with quiet gratitude. But it always, always creates change. And change, spirit warrior, is exactly what you were sent to ignite. So yes, they might pull away. They might misunderstand you. They might even resent you. But that's their shadow wrestling with your light. Your job isn't to drag them into illumination. It's to stand as a beacon so that when they're ready, they know where to find the way out of the dark. And here's the unshakable, almost inconvenient truth. Once someone sees the light, they can never fully go back to the dark. They can try to pretend, they can squint, turn away, or even shut their eyes. But a seed was planted the moment they stood in your glow. One day, it will split open and they will remember the first time they felt the warmth of your fire. That's not just presence, that's legacy. That's the calling of a spirit warrior, not to be liked, but to be remembered. Not to comfort, but to awaken. Not to dim, but to keep flipping switches until the world forgets what it was like to live in the dark. Point 2, you operate on a higher frequency. All right, spirit warriors, let's really break this down, because this isn't just feel-good motivation. This is where science and spirituality link arms like old friends. Everything in the universe, from the galaxies spinning overhead to the cells buzzing inside your body, vibrates. That's not a metaphor, that's physics. In quantum mechanics, even solid objects are just densely packed energy fields in constant motion. Your thoughts are electrical impulses firing across neurons, your emotions. They release biochemical cocktails that literally alter your electromagnetic field. And your words, they travel as measurable sound waves that carry energy into the space around you. So when we say you're on a higher frequency, we're not just speaking in poetic metaphors, we're talking literal, measurable truth. Now, most people, without even realizing it, are tuned into the human version of a static-filled radio station. Let's call it Fear and Gossip, FM 95.5. That station runs on an endless loop: envy, comparison, judgment, scarcity thinking, and self-doubt. And like junk food, it's addictive. It gives a quick ego boost, but slowly erodes inner peace. Spirit warriors, though, we're locked in on Purpose and Peace, FM 106.9. Our playlist is gratitude, clarity, faith, compassion, discipline, and that deep baseline of self-worth you can feel in your bones. And here's the thing, your frequency isn't just some passive aura. It interacts with the frequencies around you, sometimes blending, sometimes disrupting them completely. When you walk into a room, you don't just show up physically. Your electromagnetic field shows up first. Science has shown it extends several feet beyond your body, which is why people often sense you before you speak. Low-frequency folks can't always interpret what they're feeling. Their system's been calibrated to chaos, and your calm feels like a foreign language. It's like playing two songs at the same time. Their fear track and your faith anthem clash, creating static they can't stand. That discomfort, that's their inner misalignment being lit up like a neon sign. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that comes from holding two conflicting truths. You represent proof that peace is possible without passivity, that joy can exist without drama, and that success can be earned without manipulation. That breaks the narrative they've been living by. And rather than rewrite their story, some will try to edit yours. That's when gossip gets louder. It's not always malice, sometimes it's just an energetic defense mechanism. If they can't match your frequency, they'll try to muffle it. But here's where your mastery comes in. Your frequency is self-sustaining if you protect it. That's why mindfulness, meditation, prayer, gratitude journaling, and breath work, all those simple habits, are actually spiritual technology. They keep your station crystal clear and impossible to jam. A radio tower doesn't argue with a broken receiver, it just keeps transmitting, rain or shine. So when the chatter rises, don't mistake it for a threat. Recognize it as confirmation. They feel your signal. You've shifted the atmosphere without trying, and that's exactly what spirit warriors do. We don't dial down to make others comfortable. We hold the frequency, knowing that those meant for us will find our station. And when they tune in, they'll never want to change the channel, because once you've heard truth without static, you can't unhear it. Point 3, you are a mirror, not a person. All right, spirit warrior, let's roll up our sleeves and unpack this with a little psychology, a little spiritual insight, and a whole lot of truth. What you're dealing with here has a name, and it's not just haters. In psychology, it's called projection. This is when someone takes their own fears, insecurities, or mistakes, and instead of facing them head on, they toss them onto someone else like a hot potato. Why? Because admitting this flaw is mine feels like staring straight into the sun, blinding, uncomfortable, and a little too real. So instead, they turn you into the screen where they project their inner movie. But here's the kicker. You didn't audition for their drama, and you're not required to play the role they've cast you in. Now let's talk about why you attract this in the first place. You're not just living, you're living awake. You've wrestled with your shadows, healed from wounds you didn't think you'd survive, and come out of it with a level of peace most people only read about. And spirit warrior, when you walk into a room with that energy, grounded yet unshakable, you turn into a mirror. Not a mirror that says, you look great, but one that says, wait, here's where you really are. And that's not always flattering. See, your life is proof that it's possible to overcome, to evolve, to stand tall, even when the storm tried to bury you. And that's inspiring, but also intimidating for those who aren't ready to change. It's like when you walk into a messy room with a flashlight, suddenly the dust and clutter that could be ignored in the dark become impossible to deny. For some, it's easier to get mad at the flashlight than to clean the room. So they criticize you not because of who you are, but because of what your existence makes them feel about themselves. Your joy? It pokes at the part of them that wonders why they settled. Your discipline? It whispers that they could have been more consistent. Your authenticity? It calls out the masks they've worn for years. And if they've spent their life avoiding these truths, your presence feels like a challenge they never signed up for. Here's the beautiful irony. Their gossip is actually confirmation that you're making waves. Nobody talks about a ship that's stuck at the dock. The fact that they're stirred up means your life is moving, growing, and shifting the energy around you. You've become living proof of what's possible, and that wakes something up in them, something they might not be ready to face. So when the whispers start, you don't need to shrink, defend, or play small. You just keep shining. Because, spirit warrior, your light was never meant to make everyone comfortable. It was meant to make them see. And in time, some of the same people who threw shade might just find themselves using that light to navigate out of their own darkness. Until then, let them talk. You've got work to do. Point 4. Your resilience confuses them. It's wild, spirit warriors. Some people have had front row seats to every trial you've endured, yet they still can't comprehend the fact that you're not only surviving, you're thriving. They've watched you walk through storms that would have left most people stranded in emotional rubble. And yet, here you stand, head high, eyes forward, spirit steady. It almost feels unfair to them, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your very existence challenges the limits of their understanding. They expected you to fold, to break, to dissolve under the weight of betrayal, heartbreak, financial collapse, or health battles. They thought those moments would be the end of your story. Instead, those moments became the training grounds for the warrior you were destined to become. And now, you're reading from an entirely new book, one they don't even have the vocabulary to translate. Here's the part they miss. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about transformation. Psychologists have a term for it, post-traumatic growth, the process by which after profound adversity, some people emerge with a deeper appreciation for life, stronger relationships, and a more defined purpose. You are the walking embodiment of that science. Your peace isn't accidental, it's the result of a deliberate inner alchemy that turns pain into wisdom and wounds into weapons of light. You didn't just survive the fire, you learned its rhythm, its heat, and its dance. That's not luck. That's divine engineering. They saw the bruises, they heard the whispers, they witnessed the setbacks. And now seeing you walk into a room with calm confidence and unshakable presence doesn't just confuse them, it threatens them. Because your very existence dismantles the lie that pain is a life sentence. Your joy is dangerous to anyone who has built their identity on excuses, resentment, or victimhood. You force them to confront the uncomfortable truth. Healing is possible, but it requires humility, discipline, and relentless work, and not everyone is willing to pay that price. So instead of seeking to learn from you, they speculate. They invent stories. They mutter in their little circles, "Oh, he must have some secret advantage." She got lucky. Because admitting that your faith became your fortress and your discipline your sword would mean acknowledging they too could have fought for their freedom. And that's a mirror they don't want to face. What they'll never truly grasp is that your resilience is as much about grace as it is grit. It's about discerning when to fight and when to release. It's about trusting that storms have expiration dates and that every wound contains the seed of a lesson. It's about holding on to truth when the evidence says otherwise. Spirit warriors understand the battlefield is rarely just physical. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual. You've fought wars in silence, you've rebuilt in shadows, and now your life itself is the victory speech they can't ignore. So yes, they'll keep talking, they'll keep trying to decode you as if you're some riddle carved in stone, but your story will remain a mystery to those who measure strength by muscle instead of spirit. You've been tempered in places they've never dared to travel. That's why you stand without apology, shine without permission, and move with the quiet authority of someone who knows storms don't decide destiny. Because, spirit warrior, you are living proof that the fiercest battles forge the brightest souls. And while the unbroken may never speak your language, they will always hear its echo. Point 5, you don't seek external validation. Most of the world is living on a stage, spirit warrior, actors in a never-ending play where the audience's claps dictate the storyline. They post curated smiles, rehearse perfect captions, and filter their reality until even they forget what's real. Psychologists call this social validation dependency, a deep, almost addictive need to have our worth confirmed by someone else's approval. While this craving for acceptance has ancient roots in our tribal survival instincts, modern technology has turned it into a dopamine slot machine. Every like, share, and comment delivers a quick chemical hit, training the brain to chase the next digital pat on the back. It's not just social interaction anymore, it's social programming. But you, spirit warrior, are cut from a different cloth. You aren't auditioning for their applause, you're walking a path already scripted by the divine, a script without retakes, without filters, without the need for a review section. You operate from an inner compass, calibrated to purpose, not popularity. And that's a rare superpower in a world where external noise is often mistaken for internal truth. This drives some people absolutely mad. Why? Because you cannot be controlled by the same currency they trade in. They can't dangle attention in front of you like bait because you're not hungry for it. They can't manipulate your emotions through approval withdrawal because your worth was never tied to their scoreboard in the first place. Your self-validation is like spiritual Teflon. Their labels, insults, and judgments slide right off without leaving a mark. When they realize they can't pull your strings, they try to paint their own picture of you. They'll whisper, gossip, and invent entire alternate storylines to shrink your spirit into something they can manage. But your life was never built to fit into their boxes. It's an open sky, wide, infinite, and untamed. This is where you truly unsettle them. The human mind loves predictability because it feels safe when it can categorize others. You, however, are unpredictable by design. You live in alignment with truth, and truth doesn't play by the script of insecurity. Here's the dangerous thing about truth, spirit warrior. It has a way of making lies crumble without you lifting a finger. When you walk into a room calm, grounded, and unmasked, it's like someone turned the house lights on in a theater mid-performance. The makeup smears, the masks tilt. The illusion begins to unravel. You didn't call anyone out, your authenticity did. And when you give credit where it's due, not claiming to be self-made but God-made, you completely short-circuit their control tactics. They can't seduce you with flattery or wound you with silence. You're steady whether the crowd roars, boos, or disappears entirely. That kind of spiritual independence is disruptive to anyone still enslaved by external validation. They'll try to convince themselves you're lucky, or that you're faking it, because the alternative, that they've been chasing crumbs when a feast was always within reach, is too uncomfortable to admit. Your presence forces a confrontation with their own reflection. You stir up the buried truth that their worth was never supposed to be rented from the applause of strangers. And so you'll notice two reactions. The hungry will draw near, hoping to learn how you stand so free, and the hollow will keep their distance, afraid of the discomfort you awaken. That's the double-edged sword of walking in truth. You'll inspire and unsettle in the same breath. So walk tall, spirit warrior. Let them speculate, let them fabricate, let them scramble to make sense of you. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be obedient to the calling sealed over your life. You don't need their stage, their script, or their spotlight. The divine already cast you in a role that can't be recast. You're not here for the claps, you're here for the calling. And in a world addicted to performance, your unshakable authenticity will always be the loudest truth in the room. Point 6. You possess an ancient wisdom. Sometimes, spirit warrior, the knowledge you hold feels unexplainable, not a mere guess or a casual vibe reading like a party trick, but an innate, unwavering certainty. It's an inner compass, a soul GPS refined over countless lifetimes, pointing you toward truths invisible to others. Modern neuroscience might frame this as advanced pattern recognition, an evolutionary gift encoded deep in the brain that enables quick connection of seemingly unrelated dots to reveal hidden meanings. Yet, what you experience transcends this scientific explanation. It's not just about processing data, it's about embodying wisdom. While many are busy assembling fragmented pieces of superficial puzzles, you perceive the entire masterpiece, its edges, hues, and the missing parts others never noticed. This is why you can step into a crowded room and instantly feel the tension hanging in the air before a single word is uttered, or why you intuitively grasp someone's true intentions long before their actions reveal them. To those who only navigate the shallow streams of everyday life, your depth can feel intimidating. They paddle in calm, predictable waters, comfortably unaware of the vast ocean beneath, where you dive deep into ancient currents, lost treasures, and profound truths that defy ordinary understanding. Because they cannot follow you into these depths, they often label you weird, too intense, or overthinking. But the truth is, their fear is not of you personally, it's of what you symbolize. Your spiritual maturity holds up a mirror reflecting their own avoidance and denial. You challenge their complacency by illuminating how far they still must journey to grow and evolve. This pattern is nothing new. History is replete with spirit warriors like you, whose profound wisdom was misunderstood or even persecuted in their times. Socrates, for example, was condemned and sentenced to death not for wrongdoing, but because his relentless questioning dismantled the comfortable illusions people clung to. Similarly, mystics, shamans, and visionaries across cultures were frequently dismissed as mad, exiled from society, or feared precisely because they glimpsed realities beyond conventional comprehension. The legacy you carry is inherited from this lineage of those who see beyond the veil. People may gossip about you not because you have erred, but because your very presence is an enigma, disrupting their neatly scripted narratives. You embody a walking library of truths they have yet to open, secrets and insights that once revealed would transform their worldview entirely. Your wisdom is paradoxically both the key that can unlock new understanding and the lock that keeps it hidden until they are ready. This is why you often feel like a lone diver exploring the ocean's depths, while others remain on the surface, hesitant or afraid to plunge deeper. Science, spirituality, and psychology all acknowledge the existence of this kind of heightened awareness, albeit through different lenses. For example, cognitive science has shown how some individuals have superior intuitive skills, allowing them to sense emotional undercurrents and subtle social cues with uncanny accuracy. Neuroscientific studies link this to heightened activity in brain regions associated with empathy, emotional processing, and complex pattern detection. Meanwhile, spiritual traditions have long described this gift as an awakening of the third eye, or inner sight, a connection to ancestral wisdom and universal consciousness. This convergence suggests that what you experience is both scientifically grounded and spiritually profound. Moreover, this wisdom you embody is not static. It evolves as you grow and deepen your understanding of yourself and the universe. It requires courage and commitment to remain aligned with your inner truth, especially when it isolates you from those around you. But the solitude is the price paid for clarity and vision. It is within this sacred solitude that you cultivate the resilience, insight, and strength necessary to navigate the complex, often turbulent currents of life. Your journey as a spirit warrior is a heroic one, not because it's easy, but because it demands steadfast dedication to truth beyond appearances. You are a guardian of hidden knowledge and an agent of transformation. While others fear change and cling to the familiar, you embrace the unknown and swim boldly where few dare to venture. The treasures you find, wisdom, compassion, and spiritual maturity, are priceless gifts that ultimately benefit not just yourself, but all who are ready to listen and learn. So, Spirit Warrior, continue to trust your inner compass. Keep diving deep. The real treasures, the profound shifts in consciousness and understanding, live in the depths where most will never go. Your presence is a beacon for those who seek the light beyond the surface. And though your path may feel solitary at times, remember that you are part of an ancient and enduring lineage of seekers who have always dared to see what others could not. Your wisdom is a gift, a challenge, and a blessing all at once. And the world needs it now more than ever. Point 7. You are living a life of purpose. Spirit warriors, here's the thing. When you are living a life of divine purpose, you become a walking contradiction to the way most people have been taught to live. The world tells them to chase status, money, likes, and external validation. You're chasing something eternal. You wake up every day with a mission woven into your DNA to heal, to uplift, to inspire, and to make a dent in the universe in your own unmistakable way. That kind of intention isn't just admirable, it's magnetic. People can sense it before you even speak. The passion in your eyes isn't random, it's the glow of someone who knows exactly why they're here. The conviction in your words isn't ego, it's the authority that comes from alignment. Every step you take sends a ripple into the world, and those ripples disturb the still waters of those who've been drifting without direction. See, your energy carries a gravitational pull. Humans are wired to respond to purpose. Studies in psychology even confirm that when someone radiates clear goals and values, others instinctively pay attention, whether they admit it or not. But here's the twist. That same pull can feel like a spotlight, and spotlights are uncomfortable for those still hiding in the shadows. Your purpose becomes a mirror, reflecting back to them the dreams they've buried and the potential they've ignored. That's why they talk. That's why they gossip. It's not that you've offended them, it's that you've awakened something they've worked hard to keep asleep. You are proof that a life of meaning isn't just some motivational slogan. It's real, it's possible, and it's happening right in front of them. And that realization, it shakes them, because if you can live with that much clarity, it means they have no excuse to keep drifting. Spirit warrior, your life is more than a personal journey. It's a revolutionary act. In a world that thrives on distraction, your focus is rebellion. In a culture obsessed with instant gratification, your long game is radical. Every time you choose purpose over popularity, mission over comfort, and truth over convenience, you're challenging an entire system built to keep people asleep. And while some will admire you for it, others will resist with all their might. Not because you're wrong, but because you're undeniable. And here's the most beautiful part. Your purpose doesn't require their approval. It doesn't dim if they misunderstand it. In fact, every whisper, every side eye, and every underestimation only proves the impact you're making. People don't talk about things that don't matter. The fact that they can't stop talking about you means you've already left a mark. So keep walking with that fire, Spirit Warrior. The world needs more people who live like you, eyes forward, heart open, and spirit unshakable. Because one day, the very ones who can't comprehend your purpose will wish they had found their own sooner. So my chosen ones, the next time you hear your name whispered in a room or feel the weight of curious stares, don't shrink back or let fear take hold. Instead, smile with quiet confidence, because you are no ordinary soul. You are a powerful, spiritually awakened being. When people talk about you, it's not because there's something wrong, it's because there is something divinely right, something magnetic and radiant that they sense but may not fully understand. Think of yourself as a spiritual billboard, broadcasting higher frequencies that resonate beyond the ordinary. Like a mirror reflecting divine light, you reveal the possibilities of a life lived with purpose and intention. Science tells us that human energy fields can affect those around us, and spiritually, this is no different. When you live authentically and aligned with your highest self, you emit a powerful energy that cannot be ignored. Your presence becomes a walking testament to transformation, hope, and resilience. Instead of worrying about what others might be saying behind your back, redirect that energy inward toward your own growth, your own journey. Your mission isn't to silence gossip or judgment. It's to shine so brightly that those whispers become awe-inspired conversations about your strength and spirit. Every step you take forward, every challenge you overcome, adds to your light. So embrace the spotlight, not with arrogance, but with humble certainty. You are the glorious, chosen person you were always meant to be, a beacon in a world that sometimes fears the brightness of true authenticity. Go ahead, be the hot topic, not because you seek attention, but because your light simply can't be hidden. Keep shining, keep rising, and watch how your life becomes the story that inspires others to awaken their own power.